We have a complex week full of planetary transits. In this week's astrology, a post-shadow Mercury is moving forward in Virgo, allowing us to review the periods between July 25th and August 11th. Venus will connect to two alignments that will help us examine the condition of our love lives and finances. And it's a busy week for Mercury aspects, causing us to re-examine our interactions with others. Even though this is a mixed bag week, the vibes on the graph are pretty interactive. Social tones will be present and intersect romantic vibes plus mental vibes. And this happens to be the period of the 11th to the 13th. So even though, again, we've got this mixed bag week with some harsher transits, we'll find some sweet spots, which will allow us to feel open to interaction and in the mood for amorous exchanges. As we get to the weekend, there's an abundance of good luck vibes, along with family and friends, more social tones, and more mental vibrations. We've got a really nice saving grace for the weekend with Venus making a trine to Jupiter, and that'll put us in a celebratory mood to just be around people, to be social. Also, it brings in this happy-go-lucky vibe and feeling fortunate, so we may capitalize on opportunities that are really fruitful for us. So yeah, we've got another interesting week ahead. Let's look at these next bunch of days and see what we can expect. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. Also, if you're looking for a natal chart reading or intuitive coaching, the links will be in the description box below. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. The link will be in the description box below as well. On the 9th, Mercury moves forward into Virgo. And so because of this, we're going to be reviewing the period between July 24th and August 11th regarding any Virgo theme. So this could be a period of forward movement. This could be a period of understanding scenarios that happened to you during this time of the retrograde, or more or less just reviewing things that were just too complex during the retrograde cycle. Some of this stuff could look like understanding perfectionism, overthinking, self-criticism, passing judgment on ourselves. So this phase here can help us in terms of getting clear about these things. Maybe we're starting to understand that our inner dialogue needs to shift. Maybe we're starting to understand that being self-flagellant isn't helping us and we need to start speaking to ourselves more kindly, or speaking to ourselves the way we speak to others, our friends, our family, because it's time to stop beating ourselves up and to be kind to ourselves and to stop scrutinizing ourselves. Also, this could come up as maybe we had an issue with scrutinizing other people as well, or situations where we're dealing with others who are overly critical of us and we're needing to set some sort of boundary or possibly distance ourselves from those types of individuals. Coming back to our internal dialogue, this could be a time where we're investigating the root as to why we might experience imposter syndrome, or how overanalyzing everything is impeding our progress because we're fixating on being too perfect, which also again ties into some of that imposter syndrome stuff. But either way, it's impeding us from moving forward, and we're coming to a realization that we need to find some sort of remedy for that. Another theme that could come up in this retrograde cycle is our helpfulness, the way we offer up act service. So this could show us where we need to be careful about how we delegate our energy, or why we're needing to pour our energy into specific things, maybe some of the people in our lives, or other areas where we can be more useful. Again, on the flip side of that though, it can show us where we're overextending ourselves and we need to rein it in, because it's causing us to feel off kilter. It may be throwing us off our schedule, which is another thing that can pop up. Some of the other things that could pop up is our regimen, nutrition, neatness, and other areas that maybe need a little bit of improvement. But this is going to be a short phase to examine. Mercury's leaving post-shadow on the 11th. So this week, we'll get a little taste of the Virgoan energy that we experienced during that time and have a short but concise period of just reviewing all these Virgoan themes. So just as Mercury is entering Virgo, it's going to quincunx Pluto, which can bring up some situations or conversations that we might have had during the retrograde period concerning domineering conversations and personality issues. One of the things that's going on this week is, well, a couple of things that's going on this week is we have 3 quincunx alignments. Usually when we see a multitude of quincunx alignments, it is really pointing out where we lack a lot of self-awareness and where we have blind spots. Even just seeing one is going to point that out in an alignment, but having 3 of those makes for a week where we may have to check ourselves, or we may experience situations with others who need to check themselves. So this 100% puts an edgy tone to the air, even though the vibes on the graph really give us some mitigating factors, along with the 2 alignments that are actually easygoing this week. But with this Mercury-Pluto situation, we may have to examine scenarios where we have awkward interactions with others due to either the way we're presenting or the way someone else is presenting. And maybe it's a situation where or we run the risk of upsetting people if we don't understand how we're coming off in conversation. Sometimes we may have a combative tone, and that's causing other people to react to us. So it has a counterproductive energy where we get the nudge needed to work on these things so it's not affecting our social life and the way we communicate with others. Or it could be scenarios where we're not using our voice and we're not standing up for ourselves, and so we're dealing with a lot of power struggling situations, a lot of manipulative situations. And so it might be a time to speak up. It may be a time to find our voice so others aren't throwing their weight around and bossing us around. And this can also remind us to work on our negative thought patterns as well. Maybe there's something that we're suppressing, maybe there's things that we aren't coping with, maybe we might be avoiding something. And so this is giving us that nudge needed to work on these things so that it's not impeding our mind or creating intrusive thoughts or causing us to be self-flagellating, or again, in this case, scrutinizing other people. So energy like this really gives us the nudge needed to work on these things and try to gain some more insight into some of our behavior. Once we get to the 11th, we have another quincunx going on. Venus is going to make a quincunx with Saturn, and this can show us where we might be unintentionally shutting down in relationships, where we might be stuck in something that's unfulfilling considering our relationships or anything to do with our career, and even other relationships in our lives that are not romantic. Venus always shows the types of close unions that we have in our lives, romantic, platonic. It definitely always gets the association for romance, and we definitely focus on that. At the same time, it could be other relationships where it may lack some sort of warmth, and maybe we're sticking around in it because we're used to it, or we became so numb to the situation that we're a little indifferent. On the romantic relationship end, this could be a lack of vulnerability and passion and intimacy, and maybe we're ignoring that. Maybe it's coming from our side, maybe it's coming from the partner side, but it's something that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, it may end up creating further problems later on. Especially this can bring up some situations where there might be avoidant behavior in relationships, which could be romantic, which could be platonic, and it could be our own behavior as well, where we just don't put ourselves out there and we shut down out of fear of rejection or fears of being vulnerable with other people. This could also show where we pick unavailable people. This can also show where we pick people based on status and based on what they can do for us, or relationships that are just very superficial in nature. And so this can call to our attention that we need to work on these things. With financial matters, this can show where we're undervaluing ourselves and we're sticking in a job just because it pays in money and it's not fulfilling, or maybe we're chasing something that's so big that we might be climbing up the wrong mountain for ourselves. In other words, maybe we're choosing a career because it pays well and because of the way it looks, but it's not something that's going to be fulfilling for us, and it may not be aligned with our own path. So all of this energy just serves as a nudge needed to work on these things so that way we have more stability in our relationships and we're aligning ourselves with the right types of jobs that are going to be beneficial for us in the long run. So as we get to the 12th, we've got some alignments that could actually take some of the sting out there, even though one of them is considered a hard alignment. Mercury is going to sextile Mars, and the Sun's going to make a square with Jupiter. But the cool thing about this is if the energy has been edgy, and it certainly is this week still, this Mercury-Mars situation is going to be beneficial, and even the Sun-Jupiter situation is going to bring some fun to the air. With Mercury making that configuration with Mars, we may feel mentally invigorated. And interestingly, this is happening a day after Mercury leaves its post-shadow, so we may be feeling like we're back on track, we may be feeling recharged, and again, invigorated just mentally and feeling like we're able to focus again and not be so scattered. So this is really going to help us in terms of feeling more laser focused, and like our thoughts are rapid fire, but in a good way, where we just feel on point and we're not skipping a beat. Energy like this is excellent for socializing. This is one of the other reasons why we're seeing some of the social energy despite a quincunx and a hard alignment that's coming up through the weekend. We've got some alignments here that really do help and promote that socialness. And so we'll feel like engaging in stimulating conversations. We'll feel like we have the mental bandwidth to deal with other people and our interactions and just engage in fun banter back and forth with other people. Another thing that's great about this too is it's excellent for helping us be more honest and straightforward, but in a very constructive way where other people are just receptive to it. It's good bluntness versus just being blunt for the sake of just shock value or saying something that's rude or mean and trying to pass it off as sarcasm and that sort of thing. Although an energy like this would promote some fun sarcasm. But the good thing about it is if you're that type of person, it tends to land well in energy like this. It gives us the freedom to express ourselves and our opinions and make healthy healthy self-assertions or asserting ourselves with others in a way that's very productive. And so we also have that Sun square Jupiter situation, which it can be problematic because it tends to bring on situations where people are blowing out nothing but hot air. It tends to inflate our confidence, and so we're feeling like we're lucky. This is not the alignment. Well, this can be the alignment with some of the good luck energy that's spewing out throughout that weekend, but I would say with this one on the 12th, exercise caution because we could feel overly confident in this energy and it creates awkward situations or mishaps. And so this is where this alignment gets a little dicey. I mean, especially when we're dealing with the other situations with needing an ego boost and needing complete validation and over speaking other people so that way all eyes are on you sort of situations. It's very attention seeking and reckless as hell. But if used properly, it's excellent for being fun. It's excellent for being social. It's excellent for being a showboater in a good way and leaning into your self-assurance, but knowing when to dial it back when necessary, when it's getting out of hand and you're coming off more like a blowhard than someone who's actually funny. By the time we get to the 14th, the sun is going to continue to make some alignments, and this time it's making a quincunx with Chiron. Mercury's also going to be making an alignment with Chiron as well, which happens to be a sesquiquadrate. So these are some harder energies that have a lot to do with our ego. And this can go so many ways. It has to do with our ego, and it has to deal with our sense of self. It has to deal with our personality. This quincunx situation with the sun and Chiron can bring to our awareness where something that we're doing is eroding our sense of self. On one side of this quincunx, it can show us our confidence issues and ego issues. It can show us where we lack self-awareness when it comes down to our personality. It can show us where we're seeking external validation rather than building up our own internal confidence. So this will give us the nudge needed to work on those things. It can also show us where we don't appreciate our own positive qualities and our personality and we're doubting ourselves. And so this can give us a nudge needed to work on a lot of our self-doubt and start learning how to shine for who we are and our uniqueness. This can also show where we lack motivation in terms of our creativity and other areas of our lives where we're not participating in fun activities or we've just become the passenger in our own lives. And to top that off, we might be in our heads about these things, considering Mercury's making that sesquiquadrate with Chiron. And this is about cleansing harsh thoughts from our mind. So it could be a day to work on how we overthink and we fixate on problems from the past. But at least by the time we get to Sunday, we have a saving grace. Venus is going to trine Jupiter, and that should mitigate some of the harshness that's in the air and the gloominess we might be feeling with all the Sun Chiron stuff, the Mercury Chiron stuff, and anything that might be complicated. With energy like this, we might just feel upbeat and have a strong desire to just share that positive energy with other people, a desire to have fun, and just to do something that helps us let our hair down. Maybe we're wanting to shake off some of the harsh stuff of the week, and we just feel the need to be social. So it's an excellent time to go out, go to shows, go to concerts, maybe throw a party, or anything that allows us to engage in festivities. Romantically, this definitely heightens the desire for a flirtation, along with any other passionate exchanges or intensity and any excitement in our love lives. And it can also be a period where we're just seeking opportunity. Maybe we feel like luck is on our side. Now that that Jupiter-Sun situation is passing and it's starting to wane, this might be the time to actually take advantage of opportunities. Because with energy like this, luck tends to be a little more on your side. It's very passive luck in this energy, but at the same time, it brings on some lucky experiences. So yeah, really soak this one up. It's so needed after a week like this. At least this was a mixed bag week, and so we had some harsh transits, but we had some good ones sprinkled in that can really help us feel like we're pushing through the week in a very positive way. Anyway, I hope you all have the best week ever. Later, and see you in the next episode.